Back in the late 90s, I was filming big wave surfing at Jaws in Maui. And that was a pretty new sport back then when guys were using small tow boards to be towed into big waves with jet skis. So I started looking for other places to shoot this where I didn't have to go to Hawaii every time there's a big swell. And a friend of mine, Jim Marshall, who's a local fisherman here in Santa Barbara, told me about this spot on the backside of San Miguel.
My deckhand and I, Eric, were anchored in Kyler Harbor one night, and we woke up in the morning and it was closing out in the harbor, and we listened to the weather report, and it was 23 feet at 17 seconds. We made it through the breaking waves at the harbor entrance and got outside and stayed about 2 miles off the island and drove around the island. And when we got out to that foul area side on the west end, we saw some waves that I've never seen anything like it.
So Jim had told me about this spot, and when I was in a helicopter, I took photographs of it.
I told Marshall that we had surfed it. I said, well, Marsh, what should we call it? And he said, we'll call it Wieners. After Wiener, he died there, you know? Jimmy Robinson, you know, he was killed by the great white shark.
Since that's been the scene of these 2 shark attacks at San Miguel, it's just got a little bit of a spook going on. It's spooky out there.
It's into the unknown. It's kind of like climbing a peak nobody's ever climbed before. And it's an extremely heavy spot, and in my opinion, it's one of the heaviest waves in the world, certainly the heaviest wave in California. Very few people go out to the Channel Islands when there's a giant swell. You can't dive there, and the surf is too big. There's been numerous fatalities, guys flipping boats, rogue waves coming in and washing the boat in on the rocks. You really feel alone. It's a long way home, and there's zero room for error.
I was doing this shark park break dance. I was spinning on my back going down to the bottom, and then all of a sudden I got sucked right back up, and I got just pounded. Felt like I got dragged for a couple hundred yards underwater. I look up and I just went
You know, I was fortunate when I was looking at doing this that I had the connections with a lot of the big wave tow surfers from around the world that came in and trusted me to go out there with them. And you know, they're always looking for adventure, and that's really what the whole thing is about. Doing this back in 2005, it had not been surfed by anybody. Nobody had tow surfed it, nobody had windsurfed it, nobody had actually paddle surfed it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone and exposed the spot.
It's a heavy wave. It's a monster, you know? It'll handle anything the ocean throws at it.
Everybody on the boat feels pretty nervous out there, and even the experienced boat captains are keeping a sharp eye out. 30 to 40,000 seals, so you imagine where there's seals, there's great whites. And the divers are already nicknamed it Shark Park. They could be 10 feet underneath you and you wouldn't even know. The worst danger is getting held down long enough that you don't have any air in you when you come up, or an impact injury. Water doesn't compress, so if it hits you, it's like a cement truck hitting you. Garrett McNamara, who is the Guinness Book of World Record holder for the largest wave ever surfed, his feet are strapped in, the thing just blew by him.
Ripped me apart, threw me every which way. It was so deep, my head felt like it was going to explode, it's getting crushed. And then I'm back up and I'm down all around, and it just beat me up like, I don't know, like Tyson was just throwing blows from every direction.
If you make a mistake there is no rescue, there's no place to go. It's heavy.
I thought that was pretty cool that I got it first. There's more spots out there than you think, if you know where to look, if you have an adventurous spirit.
Times we've been out there, we've had no injuries. We usually come back with everybody drinking a lot of beers, and that's, I think, why all these guys have done this with me, is for the fun factor and the camaraderie, and just to say they did it. If Shark Park ever gets big again, I'll be straight out there, and there's not many waves in the world that break like this that people actually can surf. And I think in the future, as more and more people want to challenge themselves, Shark Park is going to be ridden maybe even at 100 feet.